In this brief video, we're going to pick up where we left off with our scorecard design video, and we're going to add a metric to this objective, improve quality of life. We're going to refer to this metric as livability index. So an index is typically something that might be a survey kind of number or something like that that's calculated on a scale of 1 to 5 or something. So let's stick with the scale of 1 to 5. We're going to collect the data monthly, and then we can put start and stop dates on this. Those are basically so that if in the future we ever wanted to change the metric, we don't have to delete it from the scorecard. We can simply set the archive date to whatever the last period is we're going to use that metric in, and then we can create a new metric, replace it with another one. And that way, as we scroll forward and backwards in time, when we scroll back to a time where this metric was in use, it'll show up on the scorecard. But in the future, when we're using a different metric, it wouldn't show up. So now let's click on the next button and see what the next screen is. You'll notice here that we have a variety of scoring algorithms that are given a variety of names. They indicate kind of how many thresholds we're going to have based on the number of colors. Let me just explain briefly why we do this. We use a scoring methodology because sometimes we have metrics that are different types of metrics. Sometimes they're unit counts, sometimes they're ratios, sometimes they're currency, a variety of different things. Sometimes the measurements need a precision-based target. So, for example, here you'll notice in the bottom, these are precision-based scoring methods where hitting the target exactly is where we get green. In either direction, as we deviate from that target to the left or the right, higher or lower, we turn yellow or red, or in this case just two colors, red or green. In other cases, we might have, like at the top here, metrics that are all or nothing types of metrics. Maybe a yes-no, or in this case we call it a goal only. So if we were trying to raise money for a particular project and we had to have a minimum of $100,000 and we only raised $98,000, it's an all or nothing kind of a target. If we only raise 98, it's red, just as if we raised nothing. So that's a single threshold thing. Most people choose this goal red flag, so that's the one I'm going to pick. It's a standard kind of red, yellow, green. In this case, the number that we're going to use for our index is just a standard number. It's not a percentage or a currency. And what we want to do if we're looking at rolling this up, meaning that if we change from a monthly scorecard to a quarterly view, do we aggregate the numbers or do we average them? In this case, with an index, we would average them. And I'm going to specify that the data is going to be entered manually. Manually means that it can either be entered using our fingers, type it in once a month, or imported from a database. We can pull it directly from Oracle or SQL Server, MySQL, an Excel spreadsheet, that sort of thing. Calculated would imply that this metric is going to be a calculation of other metrics already in the scorecard. We're going to leave it at manual for now. And then we can do the same thing with the targets of performance. They can either be manually entered, so we can manually plug in what our goals for the year are, or they could be calculated. So we could calculate this value maybe based on a prior period performance. So we could say that if we had the same performance as this period last year, we're going to be red, but down here, if we're going to do for our goal where we're going to turn green, if we said we wanted to have a 10% improvement, we could take last year times 1.1, and that's where we would turn green because we had a 10% improvement over the prior period. I'm just going to leave them both as manual. And so I'm going to plug them in here as 4 and 3. So on a scale of 1 to 5 for our index, if we're 3 or lower, we're going to be red. If we're 4 or higher, we're going to be green. Anything in the middle is going to be yellow. And that's all there is to it. It really is that simple. So there's our livability index added to our objective, and that tells you a little bit about how we handle scoring and setting the metrics in our scorecard structure. That, once again, is strategy made simple. Thanks for watching.